What happens when a reporter goes too far, crossing a line they should never have crossed? A moment designed to humiliate Karoline Leavitt backfires in the best possible way and becomes a defining testament to strength, leadership, and resilience. Karoline Leavitt is no stranger to adversity. At just 27 years old, she made history as one of the youngest people to hold the position of press secretary. Her career has been a whirlwind of victories and criticism, and she's tackled every challenge with unwavering dedication. However, her age and gender have often been points of contention. Critics have openly questioned her credibility, labeling her inexperienced or emotional. But while others might allow that kind of pressure to affect them, Karoline turned every criticism into fuel. Every doubter, every skeptic, she used them to motivate her climb. And one afternoon, during a now infamous press briefing, she proved once and for all why she was chosen for this pivotal role. The White House press room, often swirling with tension, is a battleground of ideas, inquiries, and challenges. It's where the nation's hardest issues are raised, and where every word uttered has the potential to spark national discussions. That day was no different, with the routine air of anticipation spread across the room. Reporters huddled over their notes, armed with their sharpest questions, ready to extract their sound bites. Among them sat Thomas Kent, a veteran journalist infamous for his no-holds-barred approach. With over 2 decades in the business, Kent was known not only for asking questions but also for pushing boundaries, often crossing into uncomfortable territory. For Kent, this wasn't just about getting answers. It was about dissecting the person in front of the microphone, testing their mettle. Karoline, true to her style, approached the podium with her usual professionalism. The first few questions were expected: policies, decisions, updates. She answered everything with clarity and confidence, showing why she had earned her place. But then came a moment that no one in the room saw coming. Thomas Kent raised his hand, and she acknowledged him with her trademark composure, signaling for him to speak. His tone was casual at first, but the intent behind his words was razor-sharp as he began his line of questioning. It wasn't about policy. It wasn't even about any recent event or decision. Instead, it was about Karoline herself. "Ms. Leavitt," he started, pausing to ensure all eyes were on him. "As one of the youngest press secretaries, and a woman, do you genuinely believe you're capable of handling the pressures of this position? Leadership, after all, demands strength, experience, and, frankly, a certain gravitas that you have yet to display consistently. Don't you think this seat would be better occupied by someone better suited?" The words hung heavy in the air. The tone wasn't inquisitive, it wasn't meant to spark open exchange, it was judgmental, dismissive, designed to diminish not just her qualifications, but her very presence in that role. Some reporters shifted uncomfortably in their seats, recognizing that the question had an edge that felt deliberate. For others, it was an opportunity to scribble furiously in their notebooks, certain that this moment would lead the next day's headlines. Karoline, however, wasn't flustered. Her resilience under pressure was legendary. But this question wasn't just about her, it was about something much bigger. She understood how words like these targeted more than just an individual. They represented every doubt cast on women in leadership, every whisper that suggested youth was synonymous with incompetence. And Karoline wasn't about to let that pass unnoticed. She responded with a calm but determined tone, starting by addressing his question directly. "Thank you for raising that point, Thomas," she began, her eyes steady. "It's a question that frankly speaks volumes, not just about me, but about the inherent biases that so often shape the perceptions of leaders." The room grew quiet as reporters leaned in to listen, sensing that something extraordinary was unfolding. Karoline took this moment to expand her response. She wasn't just addressing Thomas Kent. She was speaking to the biases and assumptions that had plagued leaders like her throughout history and today. "You see, leadership isn't defined by age, gender, or the narrow expectations of what someone should look like to succeed," she continued. "It's defined by the ability to rise, to endure criticism, and to lead with purpose despite opposition. And while you may find me as a young woman unsuitable, I'd ask you to consider examples from history." Karoline then named figures who, like herself, had faced immense doubt despite their extraordinary contributions. Florence Nightingale, dismissed because she was a woman, went on to revolutionize modern healthcare. Marie Curie, doubted and dismissed in her time, changed the face of science forever. Rosa Parks, told to step aside, became a symbol of quiet, determined leadership that changed the course of history. These were leaders who were judged, underestimated, and mocked, but ultimately their legacies silenced every critic. By now every reporter in the room had their pens in hand, scribbling furiously. Some glanced up occasionally, realizing the significance of the moment, as Karoline systematically dismantled the assumptions presented to her. But she wasn't finished yet. "What your question demonstrates, Thomas," she said firmly, "isn't my lack of capability. It's a failure to see past preconceived notions. It's that failure that denies so many talented individuals the opportunities they've earned, not because they lack skill, but because they don't fit someone else's narrow mold." Finally, she delivered her closing statement, crossing a line resonated not just within the room but far beyond its walls. A moment designed to humiliate Karoline Leavitt means standing up against the best possible way, challenging outdated norms, testament to and leading with conviction despite repeated attempts to undermine. Karoline Leavitt is no stranger to adversity. Wear that title. At just 27 years old, she made history as one of the youngest people to hold the position that leadership requires fitting a stereotype. Her career has been a whirlwind of victories and criticism, she's tackled every challenge with unwavering dedication. Felt electric. The silence that followed wasn't often been points of contention. It was the kind of silence born from witnessing something profound. Credibility. For the first time in years, Thomas Kent didn't have a follow-up, but while others might allow that kind of pressure to affect them, the question he posed to humiliate every criticism into a moment of triumph. Every doubter, every skeptic. But for her, she used them to motivate her. She walked away from the podium one afternoon, she during a now infamous press briefing room. She proved once and for all why she was chosen for this pivotal role. Karoline's response was trending the White House across every social media platform, often swirling with tension. Unsuitable was never an option of ideas, inquiries, and challenges. Became rallying cries. It's where the nation's hardest issues are raised, and where every word uttered has the potential to spark national discussions. Inspired by her courage and clarity in a moment that could have easily shaken someone less sure of themselves. Reporters huddled over their notes, armed with their sharpest questions, forever be remembered, ready to extract their sound for its impact, but for how among them sat Thomas Kent, a veteran journalist infamous for his no-holds-barred approach. It gave Karoline Leavitt with over 2 decades to rise even higher. Kent was known not only for as a leader who didn't just speak for pushing boundaries, but for every crossing into uncomfortable territory. This wasn't just a lesson in grace under fire. This wasn't just about getting answers. It was a lesson in what leadership truly means. It was about dissecting the person in front of the microphone, isn't earned by age or gender. Karoline, by showing her style, standing tall, approached the podium and speaking truth in a way that inspires others to rethink their assumptions. The first few questions were expected, and on that day, Karoline had done all of that. Updates, leaving no doubt about her. She answered everything with clarity and confidence, and her place in history, showing why she had earned her place. Did Thomas get what he deserved? Then came a moment that no one in the room saw coming. Inspire you as it does so Thomas many? Kent raised his hand, and she acknowledged him with her trademark composure. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more stories of resilience. His tone was casual at first, but the intent behind his words was razor sharp as he began his line of questioning.